Another episode. It's been a while. Took a hiatus. Had to take care of the mentals. It was a rough little spring that we had, but we back on. We live. I got E-Man of the Mr. Vincent podcast. As many of you have been watching or listening to my pod, you already should know who the man's is, so you should be subscribing, right?
Yes, sir.
Don't do me dirty and not subscribe to my brother's podcast. Show him some love for sure. But yeah, last time we spoke, we just got into it about like the NBA playoffs, and a lot has transpired since then. But we did also talk about like all the awards. We were kind of right on some of them. Luckily, the Cade one, luckily the Cade prediction, we felt like he didn't deserve it. Respectfully, we didn't think he deserved it because, like you said, he was a first pick of the first round. You know what I'm saying? He's a lottery player. Like it's expected for him to progress. So it went to Dyson Daniels, I believe.
Yeah, I believe
You
so.
won it. Yeah, and then we were shockingly enough, and I think you felt good about it on defensive DPOY. Didn't go to Draymond, it actually went to Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
Which it was, I think that was the most shocking one to me. Like, and I wish I put money into that because that would have been pretty dope to win that one. But yeah, so everything else kind of went in place. Kenny Atkinson won Coach of the Year. Fucking most improved player. Oh, we just talked about that. It was Dyson Daniels. A lot of turnover on the All NBA teams, defensive and All NBA, because of injuries, and so that's just gonna be the way it is for the next however long till Adam Silver decides that maybe that wasn't the best idea to like cap it for people.
Yeah.
Because you can't some people are like, I think he did that for the sake of the load management ordeal, but I think a lot of those guys who didn't make it in the list this time weren't load managing, they were just hurt legitimately. So it's like maybe at some point he'll make some changes to that. But nonetheless, we were just chatting just before you started recording, and we were just talking about Coach Thibs getting fired, and you what did you say about that?
I said F Tibbs, but I mean, I didn't really mean that. Although I think that it was probably time for them to move on. I was kind of torn between it, but thinking about having more time to think about it, it's probably best that they did move on. Probably not the best timing, but probably the right
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall. However, people want to feel about that. I don't think anybody really feels super bad about that happening. Like you said, it is kind of sketchy time. Not sketchy, but not the best timing for that. Like you don't want to, I don't get anything out of like seeing people get fired. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't want nobody to celebrate my firing if I got fired from my job. You feel me? And plus, on top of that, it's not like it's bittersweet for him. He hates to lose the opportunity of coaching his guys, but he also gets a bag. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna get paid for the next. Either he gets paid straight up by Dolan, or he just gets it every year to cover his 30 million. You know what I'm saying? He got that guaranteed. And that goes for all the other coaches. Mike Miller. I'm sorry, Mike Malone. I said Mike Miller. Mike Malone, Budenholzer. Uh, who else? Frank Vogel last year. Who did the Pistons fire last year?
Shoot, Monty Williams.
Monty Williams, and then Mike Brown. And mind you, all these dudes were like coaches of the year. One of my boys said that winning the coach of the year is like getting the Madden cover. You're almost guaranteed to lose that job.
Curse.
It is. And like Coach Mazzulla says, like you get hired to get fired. Right now, I think the longest tenured coaches in the league right now are Steve Kerr and Spoelstra after Coach Pop went to the front office.
Yeah.
But after
Sounds
that,
about right.
I think the longest of most of these other guys are 5 years tops as a tenure if they haven't got fired already. So it's kind of a weird thing going on in the NBA, but I don't think we're gonna talk too much about that now. But tell me why you mad about fucking Coach Tibbs. What really grinds your gears about him? Like you can
No,
let
just
it
the fact
off.
that
You can let it off right now.
his inability to adapt to the times, as I say, in terms of like having this old school mentality, essentially running the players through the ground, overusing them, and then leading to like injuries. I always stand on this. I think that no way to prove it, but I think that it's not a coincidence that Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, and Luol Deng's bodies all broke down when they played heavy minutes under Thibs and everything. And I just feel
Hmm.
like he just hasn't like he's like now. Granted, he did go deep into his rotation in the playoffs, particularly against the Pacers, but I feel like it was out of necessity. Like he had to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
he
the
had no
foul
option. So
trouble. Yeah,
yeah, I just think that. I mean, and then like players came out this year, even like my man's name, Mikal Bridges
Mikal
came out
Bridges. Yeah,
complaining about that, say they got to use the bench, they're being overworked and everything. So I just feel like with that old school mentality, that doesn't really resonate with the players today. So I kind of understand why he got fired, and it probably was the right move for them to win it, like, to try to move on and get a championship possibly.
yeah. No, I hear you, and then I think I've been apologetic for him for most of the most couple years because I feel like part of me, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not gonna put myself in there and say like, oh, because I coached, that means nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I could, if I put his shoes on, and I think about it in that sense, like it's hard to say. It's easy to say, I should say, from the outside looking in, like, oh, he should have done this differently, or he should have be less stubborn. And yeah, he is a stubborn coach. Obviously, all coaches are stubborn, depending on what it is. And guess what? Damn if he do, damn if he don't. Let's say he did do as people expect, what would be expecting him to do is to use his bench more often. And then they started losing games. They'd be like, why did he have that type of rotation? Why would he play this guy so often? Maybe why did he trust this dude? Why don't you have your starters playing, 35 minutes? Because most, starting superstars or stars are begging you to put them in for 40. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to miss a lot of game time because they feel like you know, they are very useful and they contribute to the W's. But also, I think that's part of the reason why some of these coaches are getting fired anyways. They're not really making a lot of decisions either these days. The analytic team is telling them the plus minuses, even though they already know that shit. But the analytic team is going to harp on that, and that's why the likes of Mike Malone, or even when Nick Nurse got fired, that's not flying in those organizations that are in that camp. That's why you will see like a Phoenix Suns looking into the assistant coaches instead of another big name, in my opinion.
Hmm.
That's just my opinion. I can just see it right now because, like, for example, Coach Mazzulla you hear the term Mazzulla ball. He's a very analytically driven coach. There's no X's and O's. You know what I'm saying? There's no Phil Jackson triangle no more. There's none of that shit. None of that shit matters. The only person that's really putting X's and O's and not really too analytically driven nowadays is Kerr, Spoelstra. You know what I'm saying? You probably have a handful, maybe Tyronn Lue. But other than that, I don't really think there's a lot of coaches that are not being forced into the analytics side. Basketball is becoming like baseball now, very much so.
Yeah.
It's a percentage game. You know what I'm saying? It's like let's like the home run, the 3-point ball is the new home run. It's like the home run, I should say. You know what I'm saying? You put that five out there, you better, as long as that five, all five of those guys could average 30% plus shooting the three. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. Take as many as you can. If they fall, we up. If they don't, maybe we adjust, or maybe we're just gonna have to pray for another day. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. But no, yeah, I'm not mad at your grievances. You feel that's how you feel. I mean, if he was a Lakers coach, I feel you would be ready to like can him even better, even worse, because you would be. I don't know how you would. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the firing. I don't know. It's tough. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he got him like back to back 50 plus win season for the first time since the 90s. I mean, been in the playoffs, I think, 4 to 5 times since he's been there. So, I mean, he's been productive and everything, but I think they probably just felt that they reached a ceiling with him, possibly. I was talking to Shells earlier. Shells told me he thinks that too, because of the fact that they know that they could possibly get Budenholzer or Mike Malone, since they're going to be on the
mhm,
market. That's probably why they made the
yeah,
move now. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I can see that.
yeah. I think Mike Malone would fit them pretty well, honestly, because he's proven. And to be honest with you, from what it sounds like, that was a huge mistake by the Denver ownership to impulsively fire him, because that was an impulsive thing. It wasn't like a build up. It was like he walked into the office, they had chat, it got a little heated, and then the owner was like, "Yeah, you out of here." Like, what the fuck? Who are you? Oh, Calvin Booth? You too? All right, you out of here too. Like, get these guys out of here. Bad timing. It was like a week or two before the playoffs. Like, why would you do that? You know? I think I'm gonna go with my what grinds my gears. What's been grinding my gears through this whole playoff run is a lot of my Boston fans who are rooting for the Pacers calling themselves the Boston Pacers. I don't like that shit. That shit is trash. That is,
Kind of reminds me of the New England Buccaneers.
bro, that is trash. Oh no, the Tampa Bay Bucks, the
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tampa Bay, God. But yeah, nah, they were definitely on some like New England Bucks or Tampa Bay Patriots. Like, bro, no, I get it. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I'm not mad at that. You feel some type of way. You kind of want to have this whole, we hate the Knicks shit, but they're not even your right. Like the Knicks are not even the Celtics rival.
Never have been to my knowledge.
No, there's not even rivalries in the NBA right now. Aside from the
No.
obvious Boston and Lakers, yeah, it's a rivalry, yes. But our teams see each other twice a year, and if we're blessed enough, we'll see them in the finals playing each other. But there's no rivalries in the NBA no more. There's not even rivalry player to player matchups anymore. They try to force us into the LeBron Steph thing every single time, and it doesn't work. And then somebody's load managing or hurt, and then KD doesn't really have a matchup guy. It used to be LeBron. That doesn't work no more. And then on top of that, people are downplaying people's excellence, in my opinion. I know you're not a big fan of the Ant being a superstar thing, but and then Halliburton was considered underrated, overrated. Like,
But that was by his peers, which is stupid. That sounds like it stems from
yeah,
like hate, maybe jealousy. I don't know.
yeah, something weird about that. I didn't really like that whole Hallie is overrated, and that's 2 years in a row that he's been in that list.
I didn't know. That I
Yeah,
didn't know.
the year before that they were doing it, and this is while the Pacers were on that run last year. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it's like it's kind of dirty that his fans, the not the fans, the peers of his have been saying that. It's good to see that the fans are kind of like backing him now, and he has all the nicknames right now. But nah, I wasn't a big fan of the whole Boston Pacers thing. It's just weird. It's just weird, bro. Like it's like a petty, like you're rooting because you're petty. Like, why are you being petty? They won fair and square. There's nothing wrong with what the Knicks did. The players never gloated about it. They just moved on like it was business like usual. Listen, Knicks fans don't bother me. They're mad funny, bro. We need that type of fan base in delusional ass fan base in the world. New York fans are always delusional, and you can't take that away from them. You can do whatever you can. You can troll them till they die. They're gonna troll you back. It don't matter. It don't really matter. So I think we're wasting our time trying to like fight against the machine of the Knicks, the Knicks faithful. They're always gonna be there.
Trying to match that petty. Yeah, I feel that.
There's no point. There's no point. I mean, and for them, I don't even think that team like is like a mere image of them. Like Carl Anthony Towns. I don't see him. He's not a he's not a guy I would see out there in Brooklyn acting up. You know what I'm saying? That's not him. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't
Definitely
have
isn't.
that. They don't have those type of guys. This is not the Latrell Sprewell Knicks. This is not the
Anthony
grandmama,
Mason.
the Anthony Mason Knicks. This is not the grandmama Knicks. No, this ain't it. These guys are kind of friendly, like half the team is from Villanova, so it's like let's buckle down, let's take it easy with the whole pettiness. Like this ain't that deep. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do whatever you want, but I'm just saying, like it kind of looks kind of silly when you call yourself Boston Pacers. But anyways, we're at the finals now. As everybody already knows, it's the Thunder versus the Pacers. We'll get to that prediction and our thoughts on that in a bit. But obviously there was a whole playoffs that happened since the last time E-Man and I got on the mic. Um, some of it we got right, some of it we probably got wrong. I think we both predicted the Celtics in the finals.
I think I did.
I did too.
Is it them or Cleveland? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I
But it
think I
definitely,
had. I think I
definitely
had.
wasn't the Pacers, and it wouldn't be the Knicks to me.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't have either the Knicks or the Pacers. I actually thought the Knicks series was going to be a shit show. I thought it was going to be like in five. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really speak on it out loud or anything, but
Talking about versus Celtics.
yeah, versus
Yeah, it
I
had
didn't
Celtics
take
in
them.
5.
I didn't take them seriously. But going by rounds, the Cavs they swept the Heat, got out of was the first 10th seed to make it into to make it as an eighth seed into the from the play-in. The Cavs swept them, which in my I felt like the Cavs were going to be like a tough out once that happened. And then, of course, the Thunder took care of the Grizzlies, in which I kind of had an idea that was going to happen. They were spanking the
I had a
Grizzlies
similar
all,
series too.
yeah. And then the two seed Celtics played the Magic 1-5, and then the Warriors upset the Rockets in 7. Out of those two,
I don't know about that. That's an upset. I mean, I had the Warriors win that series, so. And I think they're
I
more
did too.
experienced, and the Rockets
I
don't have
did.
any scoring, don't
I
have any
agree.
legit scoring. So
Yeah,
I know it's an
I did.
upset from a seeding standpoint. Although
Yeah,
2 through like 7 was Mac, like 3 games different, I think, in the standings. So
yeah, yeah. Um, I also had the Warriors too, but yeah, I mean, technically but I agree with you. Like, yeah, in any other world, we knew that, yeah, that's not truly an
yeah,
upset when you have
I had the
Steph
Warriors in
Curry
6
as,
though. I didn't think it would even go 7 games. So
yeah. Out of those four series that happened, those four teams that got eliminated, which of those eliminated teams, I mean, we could say the Rockets here, but which of those four eliminated teams you think next year, or better yet, they had a moral victory from
out of all those series you mentioned,
yeah.
he didn't mention the Lakers. I was gonna say the Lakers. So that's the first round.
We're gonna get to them. We're gonna get to
Oh, okay,
we're gonna get to them. Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I
So
wanted
who
to
had
go.
him?
I wanted to go over like the top seed. Handle it. Well, like at least 75% of them handle business. I'll start. I was gonna say, the easy choice would be the Rockets, but I'm not gonna choose them because it's too easy. I'm gonna go with the Magic only because I think they were part of the reason why the Celtics struggled against the Knicks. They pushed them to the limit, even though it was only five, but it was all close games, and they didn't have. And we're speaking when you spoke about like Houston not having really like that guy who could like take over the game. Orlando, they do have a guy. Those guys are barely 20, barely 22, barely 23, still pretty young. They didn't have Jalen Suggs. You know what I'm saying? There was some missing pieces, and I don't think you know that was the best job coaching too in that series. I think, you know, the coach could have done better to get them prepared for that because they could have pushed it to the limit. But I mean, because the Celtics were coming in there wounded pretty much because of Tatum getting hurt in game one, and then, Brown was just coming back from his knee injury, and then Drew Holiday missed most of the series. KP was starting to have COVID again. I don't know what the hell he has. Like there was a lot of things going on for the Celtics, and Orlando didn't take advantage of it. But if it's any team I'll give a moral victory to, it would be them because the trajectory is there. It's getting there. They just may need one more guy to kind of like get them over the edge. I don't think it's a KCP at this point. It might be
Definitely not a
somebody
KCP.
else.
No, but they have a
Yeah.
history of playing Boston tough because of their defensive prowess and everything. They just
Yeah.
can't match them with the firepower on offense. That's a good choice. I'll probably go with Houston just because of this is probably a good learning curve for them going against the
Hmm.
Warriors, a team that's been so battle tested over the last 10 years. Yeah, 10 years ago was their first championship. So a team that's been battle tested for the past 10 years, having a legit coach, probably one of the best 5 coaches in the league, I would say, Ime Udoka. They have a lot of young players, a lot of assets. They can part. They were in the talks of probably trying to trade for a KD or even a Giannis potentially because they have the assets for it. So they are
Hmm.
kind of set up for the future, like in similar to an OKC or even a San Antonio or in the Spurs. So I would say them because you can only go up from here. Again, they have that limited of offensive firepower, and to be able to go 7 games with the Warriors is impressive to me. I mean, if there are any more victories, I think they would be victorious in that first round.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, the Rockets one is the easiest obvious choice because yeah, they were the 2 seed. That's not a fluke. Like they were a 2 seed. They were pushing. There was a point when I said I think they were the best team in the league at one point because they can consistently put the belt to ass when they need to because they're a very good defensive team, but they don't even have a defensive standout outside of Amen. Like I don't think they have like Sangoon's not like the toughest defender out there. And Jalen Green's like not the toughest.
Yeah,
Dylan Brooks is the
Dave's pretty good. Dylan
pest.
Brooks is pretty good. He's pretty good. I like Dylan Brooks on
Yeah,
defense.
Dylan Brooks is the pest. He could keep up, and they have some guys who come off the bench who are tough defenders, but they don't have like the guy. Like Amen's gonna be obviously the anchor, but their center is not the best rim protector in the world. So you could have your way with Sangoon if you really want to, if you're a premier offensive guy on because there was I think the big difference in that series was not even Steph. Like Steph was neutralized a couple times, but it was just like, letting Buddy Hield go off on game 7. Come on, man. Like the guy who didn't do much most of the series, he went off for like almost 40. You know what I'm saying? There was games where,
Those
you
games
know,
when Jimmy wasn't available, Jimmy took that nasty fall, and they still were able to capitalize and walk out of there with a W.
exactly. So it's like there's certain games that they could have had, and it just shows their inexperience at that point. you know, like you said, that's they are a good choice for that. What I mentioned, that's that series, those series. Then we had the Nuggets Clippers. Nuggets 1-7. Your Lakers losing in 5 to the Timberwolves. Knicks Pistons went to 6 with the Knicks winning in 4-2, and then the Pacers Bucks went 5. Out of those 4 series, I think I wouldn't say I would not say the Clippers. I would say the Pistons would be the moral victory there. They kind of stood out a lot in this playoffs because they didn't all those games were close against the Knicks. And I don't know. I think they just by watching the game, you could see like they didn't feel like the moment was too big. Because
Not at all.
I think they beat the Knicks. They beat the Knicks in New York in an elimination game and forced the game 6. So they have the tenacity. They have the guys. I wouldn't know. I don't know if it's a team I would say yeah because I think this is like the one thing I can't stand what people do a lot is like they're like, oh, when a young team, they look at a young team like, oh, they're just like a KD away. And it's like, nah, bro, you don't always have to add a KD. You don't always have to add a Giannis. You don't have to add these guys to just get over the hump. Like, look at the Pacers. They didn't add nobody. They didn't add nobody from the offseason. They just got a bunch of guys, a bunch of, they got like a Thomas Bryant or whatever. They just pick up a bunch of dudes just to fill up the roster. Aside from that, it was the same squad that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So yeah, the Pistons stood out to me. But what you said the Lakers.
Well, Pistons are a good choice. To get that thing about it too, they didn't have their second best player. He broke his leg in the
Yeah,
season,
Ivy.
Jaden Ivey, and
Yeah.
then the enforcer and Isaiah Stewart, who could have helped us with the physicality down there in the interior. So they
Hmm.
definitely have a bright future. I love what they're doing down there. Biggest staff coach, one of the best coaches of the season. That's a great hire by them. Cade is emerging to a close to superstar level. He might be this at some point, but that's a good choice. I would probably say I'm be advised the Lakers because I did think that I knew Lakers were extremely flawed. I just didn't think that they get exposed that early, particularly by the Timberwolves. I thought they can get exposed probably, maybe in the conference semis, definitely by OKC in the conference finals. But the Wolves were able to expose them and expose their weaknesses, the lack of interior resistance, the fact that the 3 best players are liabilities on the defensive end of the ball. No, not to LeBron. LeBron is 40, but hey, he's still a liability. Luka has been a subpar defender his whole career. It's been nice. And then Reeves isn't good as well. So that just is a moral victory to show that hey, you guys made a trade, one of the biggest trades ever mid-season. You fought well to get yourself to the 3rd seed in the playoffs, but you come up short, lose, get gentlemen swept in the first round. So you know what you got to do now and try to assess the team. Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick know what they got to do to assess the team. put the right team around Luka that, probably a lot of vertical threat big, more athletes on the perimeter who can defend to help mask his flaws. And hey, now Luka can look at this as they're saying that Luka's saying all the right things, that he may take his conditioning even serious. I do think it's a little overblown to a certain extent. I mean, he's a professional athlete. You're not crazy out of shape, but I get it. Can he be in better shape coming in the season that he has been in the past? Absolutely. So maybe this can be some motivation. In fact, the fact that he got traded too. And I do think that getting traded by the Mavs, being blindsided like that in the middle of the season, kind of messed with his head a little bit too. Not to make any excuses, but I do think that's reality. So I think that could be a more victory. You're going to have LeBron
Yeah.
and Luka, a full training camp together. They're going to get the ancillary pieces, I believe, around both of them, and they should be even better to start the season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember watching that series and I was shocked. I didn't expect them to like fall on their face that soon, that early, that way. Especially that they were able to, you're going back home for game five and you still didn't win. You know what I'm saying? When it mattered to like get out the hump. And, I get it. Braun is 40. Luca, wasn't really himself. I think some things need to be better with him. Like you mentioned, the conditioning thing is definitely overblown. I think that's just a way for people to just discredit. Like going back to what I was saying, there's a thing going on now where people just want to find a reason to not credit somebody for greatness. It's just like, okay, well, now he's being called a fraud. He's called a bum and all this shit. It's like, okay, what was it? 5 times in a row, All NBA first team.
Yeah.
That's a fluke, I guess, for people, right? Oh, LeBron James, it made another All NBA team at 40 years old. I guess he sucks. You know what I'm saying? Reeves, should have been probably highly considered for most improved player. I guess he sucks too. It's like, yeah, you could talk about people's defensive game. Like the Pacers don't even have a guy I could really say besides Miles Turner that's a great defender. They just played with better effort. That's just it. Neesmith is not in nobody's all-team NBA, I don't think, all defensive NBA team. I don't think so. He could be at some point, but he isn't.
Yeah.
But he plays with such great effort. Nemhard, them two guys are just effort, effort, effort. They just play to the whistle. They don't give a fuck who's in front of them. I think it's just about, like they said, rebounding, defense is about effort. All that other shit is just pure athleticism and gift. Scoring is a gift. You know what I'm saying? You gifted to do that. So I'm not going to discredit nobody who could score their asses off on a basketball court. You're really good at that shit. You're saying like there's a normal human being can't drop 20 in a 40 point in a 48-minute game. There's not a lot of normal human beings that could do it. You know what I'm saying? And if they are, they should have been professional. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, like it's just effort. And I think for the Lakers it was a lack thereof. You know what I'm saying? I can see LeBron was diving for balls. You know what I'm saying? But when you have Luca, just every time he thinks he's getting fouled, he's doing this. He's like, you're falling back. You're already not a good defender. Now you're not even playing in transition defense. You're complaining to the ref. That type of stuff, he needs to get rid of it. You could not even get rid of it. Make less of it. You don't need to do it every single time. And then it's a trickle down effect because now when my superstar's doing it, guess who else is going to do it?
All the
Everybody
other
else.
players on the team, yeah.
You feel me? So it's just like you got to carry yourself a certain way, and he knows that he's gonna be taking over the mantle as the top guy in LA. So I know he did the pod with LeBron and Steve Nash recently,
Yeah, I
and
haven't
I
heard it
think
yet. I got to listen to that tomorrow morning.
I haven't heard it either, but from what I've read, he spoke on the influence he's gonna take off from LeBron and how to take care of his body in the off season and doing certain things. He might be in the right place. You know what I'm saying? If I'm LeBron, I'm setting up the guest room, telling him, hey, chill with me for like 3 weeks. That's all you need is 3 weeks with me. We're gonna eat right, we're gonna lift, you're gonna work with my trainer, you, me, and Bron. We're gonna get some shots. I'm trying to get you upset right now with the whole Bronny shit. You and Bronny, let's get some shots up. Get ready for the season. But nah, but yeah, I hear you with that. I mean, I was shocked about that series. Again, it would have thought I would say the Clippers. The Clippers disappointed me again. I'm not picking them for shit no more. Like
Yeah, I had him in
every
seven
time
too. I think. I think I had him in seven. Never
I
again.
think you probably did. It's like it's crazy, but nonetheless, moving on. We had the semifinals. Pacers, gentlemen sweep once again the Cavs. When I say once again, they gentlemen sweep the Bucks as well. But they gentlemen sweep the Cavs. Celtics lost in six to the Knicks. Thunder won in seven against the Nuggets, and then Timberwolves won in five against the Warriors. Which of those four series were you the most impressed on?
I shared the most impressed on in the second round. I might say the Knicks. I'm gonna go with the Knicks because I thought that there was no way in hell that they can beat Boston. That Boston would win in five. The fact that they were winless against all the top three teams in the league, being like Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder in the regular season. And I just don't believe in the Knicks. I don't think they're that good. And even with the Porzingis with this mysterious illness, JB with his bad knee, Drew Holiday coming in with the hamstring issue. I was like, nah, they're still gonna win. They're still gonna win. And then Boston shocked me by giving up 20-point leads in consecutive games at home, allowing New York to escape victorious from the Garden and going up 2-0 on them. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is gonna happen. And then I think Boston then won game three. Okay. Then they didn't go down to game four. Tatum gets hurt. Let's be serious though. I see people Tatum got hurt with like 3 minutes left in the game in the fourth. They're down nine. Most likely, even though in today's NBA, the 3-point shots are more prolific than ever, those leads kind of go by relatively quick, as we saw in game
Mhm.
one when the Pacers came back against the Knicks in the conference finals. But I would say most likely that they were going to be down 3-1 against the Knicks. So, and when teams go up 3-1, they tend to win like, 95, 96% of the time. So chances are they would have lost anyways if Tatum didn't get hurt. So that's why I would say I was shocked. But I don't know if I was more shocked or disappointed in Boston. Because I really thought that I don't think the Knicks were that good of a basketball team. I think that my criticism in them showed in the conference finals, which is why I picked the Pacers in six in this conference finals. So I'll go the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, just to, you know, go on with what you were saying, definitely was a shocker too. But also, like you were saying, like even with all the challenges that the Celtics had going into that series, like there's no excuse. I'm not trying to hear people because there was a lot of people like trying their hardest to tell you, well, they were hurt. They were hurt. The Knicks beat a hurt Celtics team. Like, no, no, now we're saying this. Like, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the path of their finals win of last year. It was an amazing run, but they ran into three teams in a row that lost their best player. So you can't even. And then you went to the win against Dallas, and maybe we could say Luka wasn't 100%. So be it. He played, but nonetheless, they were not closely as superior to you as you think. Even though there was people who chose them, but that wasn't people going to choose. There's people choosing the Pacers right now. Who cares?
Who's with the Pacers? I haven't heard one person say that.
There's people. Oh, trust me. People are hoping for the Pacers to make some
Hoping and
noise.
choosing are two different things.
Yeah. No. Well, we'll see that. We'll know more in the next 48 hours. You know how it goes. Some people are gonna sit there and be like, "No, man, those Pacers. I tell you, especially up here. Oh, they're probably gonna think Pacers and seven type shit." But we'll get back. We'll get back to that. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like it was. Although there possibly was a chance of them coming back, that ruptured Achilles happened as the momentum was absolutely swung. The pendulum swung completely at that point. It was at that once that steal from OG Anunoby happened, I believe they went up 9 or 11 at that
It was
time.
nine with roughly 3 minutes left in the fourth.
Okay, so they were up by 9, and then immediately after that, they still scored. So it's like it was already a snowball effect. And I don't condone people celebrating injuries, and I'm glad I didn't see a lot of people celebrating it. Obviously, Knicks fans are the circus, so you can't expect less from them. So maybe that's where the pettiness comes from a lot of people of how they felt about the Knicks. It's very unfortunate to see him go down like that because I coached a kid in football in the high school football team that I coached that tore his Achilles during the offseason. I didn't meet him then, but I met him during the season, and he was
High school
busting
kid
his
towards Achilles.
for the second time.
Damn.
He tore one and he tore the other. And it was his senior year, so I felt the emotions of he couldn't even play in Thanksgiving, like he was trying so hard, but it wasn't possible. So we're talking about 18-year-olds, bro. trying to come back. And I know you know people who have tore their Achilles as well.
Shell's
Playing ball.
Shell's still his November playing ball.
Yeah, I saw him posted on the Facebook group. But it's like it's inevitable. Like those things suck, man. Like that's
Mm.
probably one of the worst injuries to have in
Any
any
sport,
type of
right?
sport. Yeah, because it's like, and he's the youngest guy I've ever seen outside of football to get that. And it's
Who's
not to
youngest
say
guy?
he can't come back. Tatum,
Yeah.
that I've seen in the
So I have a theory on that. Well, I think other people share that too. I heard people say it. So Tatum's like 27, tore his. Dejounte Murray tore his this year too. He's 28. They said like I think at least 5 players tore the ACLs. I mean the Achilles this year. I think it was Tatum, Dejounte Murray, Dame Lillard,
what's his
Wiseman,
name?
Wiseman,
Wiseman. Yeah.
and I forget who the fifth was. My thing is that I think the league
It was another Indiana Pacer too. There was two Indiana Pacers. It
really
was Wiseman and another center. I forget who it was.
damn.
But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that the league is gonna have to really consider. They don't want to do this because they don't want to lose money, but I think they got to shorten the season, man. There's a lot of basketball being played, coupled with all the miles kids putting their body through the teen years, AAU, then you're
Hmm.
playing college ball, you're playing 82 games regular season with this type of like. It's not the 90s anymore. Not a like dispute what era was better, but it's not the 90s anymore in terms of like the pace is way faster. The offense is way more spread out. You have to run and contest 3-point shots with all this cut
Hmm.
in deceleration, acceleration. They're putting a lot of wear and tear in your body, and I think you're seeing a result because I've seen so many like lower leg injuries this whole season, whether it be hamstring strains and Achilles and everything, calf strains.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you know what? The league might really have to consider trying to go down to a 72 game season and just try to find ways to make up the money because you don't want to ruin your product and then you have an investment like Tatum who gets hurt. Now, luckily for him, he got signed his deal before that happened, and they got a chip out of it last year when that run. But it just sucks that seeing all these plays like and having like these playoff series kind of be kind of like I don't want to say they are being decided by injuries, but injuries are having an influence, I think, on playoff series. I think it's been like that for the last
Hmm.
like 2 or 3 years. Like, I've seen so many like guys miss games. Like that didn't happen 15 years ago. Like so I
Yeah.
think the league should really consider trying to reduce the schedule. I think it'll be better products. Less games means people are more engaged with it because not long and drawn out from like October to April. So yeah, that's my theory. I think just the way that the game's played with the amount of games that's played on a regular basis and everything is kind of leading to
Hmm.
these lower leg injuries, and the league should address it by shortening the season.
Yeah, and I mean, especially that Adam Silver is such a big fan of soccer. How they approach their seasons. Look at the soccer seasons. They
I don't
they
even know
spread
how,
out
how it
those
is. How is soccer season?
some of those like Premier League, for example. They'll have a game on Saturday, and then the next game is like Thursday. You know what
Really?
I'm saying? And then they'll have a game on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like it's spread out, and some of those guys don't even play every single game because they play in other leagues. You know what I'm saying during the week. But I mean, obviously, soccer is a different beast because it's not as in like there's not as much intensity with the force that they put into their leg drive. Whereas basketball players, especially now with sports science being like exercise science and like strength conditioning is so much more enhanced now. Because keep in mind, like 20 years ago, no, none of these guys were going to know train. Like they had trainers, but they didn't have trainers building their muscle up to do that. They were doing bench press, bro. Like they're not doing these other things. They're doing more things to get big. Like Tatum was not that big when in 2017. He's a big guy now. So when
Yeah.
you add so much weighs more than fat. You're at a bigger weight than you might have maintained the weight, but you're bigger. So now when you're driving off of your butt which off of your leg to sprint, to jump, all that stuff, yeah, you're gonna break some shit. You're gonna pop some shit. You know what I'm saying? Your knees, your Achilles. With that being said, I do agree with that because I've said it before. I've said it like cut it down to 72 games. Who gives a shit? That the year that they cut it down after the bubble probably was their best season of basketball with all the superstars being healthy for one. And two, it was probably better viewership, like you said. More people will be more inclined to watch. And now with all the turnover with the programming, it probably would have been a better idea to do it anyways at this point because now people have to transition to NBC. I think that because NBC is now incorporated, they're gonna start posting. They're gonna be more games in a shorter period of time now, I would assume. So yeah, I'm with you. I would rather them have a little like WNBA has less, obviously, because less teams. But it's when you spread it out a little bit better, it's easier for people to keep up and you want to preserve these players, man. I mean, the sucky part about that argument too is that there are guys who've been playing without injuries, You know, LeBron James hasn't had a major injury, God forbid. Besides Kevin Durant's Achilles snap, he's been relatively healthy most of his career. Steph Curry had the ankle issue, and he's been able but that's ankles. Like he's been able to avoid like a major like a knee injury or like major ligament tears, none of that shit. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, the greats that we've grew up to know have been relatively healthy for the most part. But like you said, now we're seeing it more and more often. It's probably happening more in every other level of basketball too.
Yeah.
Because I think I've seen some college guys got some torn Achilles as well. It's just tough. It's really tough, and I'm sorry we've been on that topic for a little bit longer than normal, but it is definitely tough to see Tatum go down, and I do pray for a long recovery, long speedy recovery for him. The Celtics will absolutely look different. We'll probably talk more about that down the road, post finals, like what it's going to look like for them in the off season. We'll probably see some rumors, and we're seeing them now. People having these NBA 2K trade trade finder or trade.
Everybody putting their GM hats on. Oh god.
They put in their GM hats on. How are we gonna retool and still compete? Like, hey man, sometimes shit like this happens. You could be good with what you got and just pray that it looks the same after he comes back. So, but yeah, you said the Knicks was the most impressive. I think the most impressive to me was the Thunder. Although they were the 1 seed, they were down in the series. I think they were down what 3-2-1 in the series. They lost one at the crib. They lost the first game in Denver, and you're going against in any other year the MVP Nikola Jokic, and he really looked like he played the part. But you know what, Denver, man, very similar to the Pacers. They could just throw whatever type like they have like their defense is like a person throwing multiple knives. You know what I'm saying? Like they throw Lou Dort at him. They were throwing Jalen Williams at him. They'll throw every single center that they have on the team at him. And they just made it frustrating for him. They knew they were going to give up the points. They knew it, but what his superpower is facilitating and getting the other guys involved. And I think he averaged like 5 assists in the series.
About that, yeah, that's about right.
So when you do that, that means you're doing a great job against him, and you could eat those fouls too. You know what I'm saying? But that's the good thing about a team like that. They are willing to let their third stringer come out there and get 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? They understood like SGA was the closer. He did his job. Like he absolutely did his job in the majority of the series. But the fact that Jalen Williams had a good game, one of the games that he closed out pretty well, and then Chet kind of made up for his game one. Was it game one? Yeah, game one
Oh, well, miss
missed
free
free
throws.
throws because that was. If we look back at this playoff, there's been a lot of games that were decided based on late game mishaps, especially that Knicks series against the Pacers. They could have easily went 2-0 to start the series, but that's neither here and there. But yeah, I would say the Thunder would be the most impressive. I think that's what was that led to their ascendance right there. You needed to knock off Denver. Denver is like, to me, the closest thing to what the Spurs used to look like. You know what I'm saying? Like the Spurs always had Timmy. The Spurs always had Tony.
Parker.
Tony Parker, exactly. They always had Ginobili. They always had a guy, those guys. And Denver's that team too. They always have Joker, Curry,
Gordon.
Michael Porter Jr., Gordon, you know what I'm saying? God bless Gordon. He did everything he could on game 7. He somehow got a double-double with a bum hamstring. I don't know how he did it, but I think people realize how valuable he is. I think people didn't realize obviously they won the chip with him, but they didn't realize how good he was, how good he is. as a role player. And I think a lot of us didn't realize it because he went from a very, very bad team of Orlando and went to a winning situation. And it doesn't always translate. Look at Kuzma. He went from Washington, loser mentality over there, and coming to a winning situation. He couldn't even do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And Aaron
sometimes it
Gordon is
didn't
like a
work.
hand in glove fit with Nikola's game. He complements him so well. People say it's
Hmm.
like he's kind of like born to play with Nikola Jokic. So it's a great pairing right there. And as opposed to like when he was in Orlando, they wanted him to be like a go-to guy. But that's not really his. It's
Go-to
not really.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's more of a complimentary player and great in his role.
Yeah. If Denver knows better, if they're smart, you don't get rid of that guy.
Nah, they're
You
not getting
keep
rid of him.
him. You keep him. Michael Porter Jr. though, the great value of Tatum, you could let him go. You could throw him in them trades, my boy. Like throw him in them trades. Feel for him with the bad shoulder, but go in them trades, man. Like it ain't working.
Yeah, he's the one. He's the one they want to move off from. But I think it's kind of hard
Yeah,
with the money he makes.
he killed him, man. He killed him in this series, dude. He was the difference maker, dog. That game they won in Denver, one of the games they won in Denver was because of him, because he had like 20 points or so. But after that, he was a fucking dud. Like it was bad, bro. I couldn't believe what I was watching. But yeah, that was the most impressive series there. But obviously, we know who's in the finals. And then we saw the outcome from the conference finals. Thunder winning in five, gentlemen sweep. Pacers winning in six. Out of those two series, like what did you see from either one of those teams that impressed you the most?
Nothing really, but if I had to pick one, no, because I wasn't really shocked with about Thunder winning. I had the Thunder winning in six. I said it should go five, but they're probably going to lose one game they shouldn't. So I'll pick them in six. And then I had the Pacers in six, and people thought they laughed at me. Like, I think they're better than the Knicks. They're going to run them off the court. They have more depth. I think Carlisle's a better coach than Thibodeau is. And yeah, Brunson's probably better than Halliburton in a vacuum, but I just think that team stylistically they're better, like a better team. But I'm just gonna say maybe I'm kind of like I was in awe, I would say, of okay. No, not really in awe, but the fact that everybody was just catching on, like the casuals who don't really watch ball in and out. Even my brother hitting me up about OKC. I'm like, yeah, like this is what they do like every night on League Pass. They have athletes all over the perimeter. They're like piranhas over there, stealing the ball, getting on transition. This is what they
Mhm.
do. Like, this is nothing new. So I guess I can say that. I was kind of shocked at how much well, not really shocked at how much they dominated Mini. I think that's just a limitation with Ant's game right now. Nothing wrong with that. He's only 23 years old. He got like 3 to 4 years till his prime. So he's right on track. And I knew that they were going to, what they do with Julius Randle, they would expose him because I think he got some favorable matchups the first two rounds. Like, he's not really that guy like y'all think he is. Y'all thought that like
Mhm.
he's Boogie Cousins. He's okay. He's good. He's not that good. So I wasn't just really surprised. I was just really in awe of what the Thunder did. And I think you talked about it, like how that series against the Nuggets really helped propel them to another level and help them like show that they can, despite their youth and everything, like they are able to win a championship right now. That J Dub is a
Mhm.
legit secondary option alongside SGA. That these guys have been battle tested enough to take the next step and to potentially win an NBA championship. So I would say like the minute in which they dominated them on several games, other than the Timberwolves, was like, oh shit, they arrived.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll say both teams are impressed me a lot. Like they both have the same model. Like it's an amoeba. It's just they could adjust to whatever type of team they want to be. And they're two teams that will be willing to take the 2-point shot. They're not settling for the three, but they also hit the three at a high percentage because they have point guards that could get them set up well. SGA playing the point. Same goes with Halliburton. Set those guys up when those guys are going and their confidence is because that's the one thing I've noticed about these games. Like you said, these guys just have too much confidence. Like Payson Wallace, Aaron Wiggins. Those names are gonna be heard a lot in the next week or so. And people are gonna be like, who are these guys? Like you said, your brother didn't realize like, bro, this is what the Thunder been like since last year. It's just
Took Dallas to
last
6
year.
games in a tight series.
Yeah.
Could have went either
It's
way.
just last who they lose to last year?
Dallas in six in
In
the semis.
Yeah, it's just Dallas had a more magical year, and they probably had I think Dallas just had a better personnel built
Yeah,
for that because they had the double big who was playing out of his mind. Kyrie was a good complementary piece with Luca, and then PJ Washington just had a pretty solid
he hit
playoffs.
mad
And then
big shots in that series. I think he averaged like 18.
yeah,
And then plus OKC didn't have another big to go along Chet, and he's kind of getting like abused, which is
Mm,
why they went
there
out and
you go.
signed Hartenstein, and then making the trade for
Caruso.
Caruso for Giddy. When that happened, I said they're going to the finals. I called it summertime. That's the best team in the West. They're going to the finals. So
Yeah,
far, I'm like, I'm not really shocked at what they're doing. It's just like when you're watching it in real time, like, damn. I don't think
bro.
I don't want to say they're the best defense of all time, but because the game is different. But in like my lifetime, I think they're up there with the '96 Bulls, '04 Pistons, '08 Celtics. I put them right up there with
Yeah.
them. I never seen anything like this.
People are not realizing how this is a dynastic level of basketball this team is playing. They won 68 games?
They could have easily won 70. Chet missed 50 games.
Bro, they could have won 70, dog.
Yeah,
They won 68 games. Like people are forgetting how many games this team won. So they were two off of the Bulls record, I would assume. Let me double check before
Bulls
I
are
start
72 and
talking
10
out
to
my.
the fourth. So that
Oh,
means
they
the
would have been four. Oh, they did win 72. And then the
Warriors won 73. So
Warriors 73. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they could have broken that record if they were relatively healthy all year. They could have.
That's bro. It's just crazy to me that they were that damn good and just people just not realizing it. Yeah, they did win 68 games, so they tied with the Sixers in 66 and the Celtics of 72. But in the modern era, to win 68 games in a time where the NBA is in probably it's there's been more parity than ever in this league in the last what 5 to 7 years. They've been able to win 68 games. And the last team, the only other team to win anywhere in the 60s this high in the last 10 years was the Warriors.
Yeah.
Not even the Celtics of last year, and that was a hell of a team. They won only 64. So when you're talking about you're in the high 60s, threatening possible, history, that's impressive. And I think people just didn't give them enough credit. Maybe because they were just as good last year, but they got better. Like you said, the Josh Giddey trade was key for them. Getting Caruso, and I think people don't realize like Caruso missed time too. He missed a lot of
Yeah, he
time
did
as
not.
well.
Hartenstein missed a lot of time this year. J Dub missed some time. So yeah, they have a lot of plug and play players and have a system that they trust in. SGA was like the main consistent play. I think he missed like 5 games, 6 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of finalized the MVP for him is that he was consistent. I think he had a 30 point game streak or 20 point game streak that went towards till the end of or maybe even to the playoffs.
It went into the play. I think it ended when he just scored. I think in game 3 he scored 14 points in the conference finals. So yeah, it ended
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so very impressive. And then when it comes to the Pacers, man, I think here's what's gonna happen because this is a copycat league. This NBA, they're gonna realize we need all 12 men to play in the season. You can't, going back to, your grievances with Tibbs, that's where I get it. Like he didn't utilize the bench, and maybe if he did it earlier, he probably would know. Yeah, I got Landry there. I got fucking maybe not play too much campaign and get DeLon Wright out there more often. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if one of my bigs could step up like Precious Achua. He didn't do that. Precious Achua played a lot of minutes in the regular season, didn't get it. Dagnall and Carlisle, they just trust their guys. They just believe in their men. And at any given time, I remember when one of the games, the game that Miles Turner had like a shit game. He just had a shit game in New York. Like that was one of the worst games I've ever seen a guy play in a Eastern Conference Finals. He went back to him. He had a when you could tell when a player feels good with his coach. He went into game 6 and he played. I think he got most of his points in the first quarter, but he got himself going. Which with guys like him, when he's playing well offensively, his defense carries along with him, and he's one of the better shot blockers in the league. So, and that goes for same thing with the Thunder. Like there was some guys that kind of struggled. Like Chet hasn't been perfect this whole off postseason. You can see where he has his growing pains, but the fact that he was able to trust in the kid even when he misses free throws and he's kind of always on his ass. Every so often you see him always on his ass for whatever reason. Like he's always on the floor. You think he's cleaning the floor sometimes. Um, the coaches trust him, and I also said it too. I've been saying it ever since this Knicks series ended. I was like, the two players the Knicks miss the most right now, Harvenstein and DiVincenzo. They miss those two guys a lot because I wouldn't say DiVincenzo was the best defender in the world, but he was a pesky one too. He was hitting those three balls last year for them, especially against the Pacers. I think he won a game against the Pacers last year in the
Yeah, I
buzzer.
think he went crazy in one game. I think it was on the road
Yeah.
too.
Yep. And then Harvenstein was unstoppable. Like he was double double machine. You know what I'm saying? But now it's the Thunder who gets him, and obviously DiVincenzo was with the Timberwolves, but that didn't help them any much. But Harvenstein is a good complementary piece. Like I think he played a huge part in their success, and then obviously Caruso leading the pack off the bench, took the role off the bench, just being the anchor that they need. And that works. And then the Pacers being a team that nobody believes to be a good defending team, they stood on business, man. I don't think anybody was beating them in the East. Do you think if the Celtics were to advance to that Eastern Conference final, they would have beat them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Bill Simmons shared the same sentiments as you. I listened to this podcast and kind of convinced me that I think you're right. With the Celtics, how they work at that state with a injured or hurt Jaylen Brown, mystery illness with Porzingis, the way that they were playing and all this reliance on the three ball and just not settling for threes, taking bad shots and everything, having to go up and down the court with this team who's like kind of flawless on offense in a sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, it'd be a tough series for them, especially if the Knicks were able to beat them. Yeah, I could see a world where the Pacers would be victorious over them.
Yeah. And for me, I did have the Knicks in seven. Only reason why is because I felt I had the revenge narrative for them because they lost in seven last year. And they mostly lost that series because they broke down. They lost. OG was hurt halfway through the series with that I think it was a quad
Hamstring,
injury. Hamstring.
hammer
It was a
quad.
hamstring. Yeah, but he somehow found his way back on the court for just 2 seconds and he couldn't make it through. Um Hart suddenly hurt his hand, I think, or whatever, in game six or something like that. I can't remember. Jalen Brunson was in and out of the rotation due to the ankle, and then obviously at the very last game they needed him, ankle went out on him. He was done. There was no Mitchell Robinson. It was just really Harvenstein and whoever else was going to play. So it's like they were down several guys and they still made it to game seven. And the Pacers really had to find a way to win to get to the Eastern Conference Finals then. But hey, more power to them. I think it's very impressive what their run was because they beat a Giannis-led Bucks. Because I thought even last year when they beat the Bucks, that's why I wasn't sure if they would beat them this time because the Bucks were very hurt then too because they didn't have Dame or Giannis. But they proved everybody wrong there. The Giannis is a top three MVP candidate. However you want to cut it, whoever you want to point the finger at, they still beat that team. Then they went on to play the Cavs, the best team with the team with the best record in the East, with Dame averaging damn near 40 every game, and they still found a way to win. Even though I think that game two for the Cavs, if they could play that back, they would have forced all three of those dudes to just play instead of saying, "Oh, sit this one out." Because
Yeah,
I think they took them lightly. I really do believe so. Because they probably looked at game one, and because game one was only the only reason that game one outcome went the way it did is because of Halliburton hitting that shot. That free, I think it was the layup he got at the end of the game. I think the captains looked at that and make, you know what? We were just a bucket away from winning that game. We'll be fine without Mobley and Garland for another game and, Hunter to sit out. Oh yeah, you thought so. You wasn't that I guess they didn't I guess they realized they thought they had a deeper team than they did. So I think that affected them along the way. But the Pacers, I think they took no prisoners. They didn't give a shit about who was in front of them. Then they played the Knicks with Brunson, who's an all NBA player. So is Karl Anthony Towns. They both made history with each other in that series, in that playoffs, I think, or even that series by what they averaged.
I think they were each. I remember between the first like 5 games or 4 or 5 games, first duo to score 20 plus in the first 4 or 5 games since Kobe and Shaq in '02, I think. So That's
Yeah,
what
so
I'm
they made
hearing.
history. Like they're one of three duos to accomplish that. Because the other duo was, I think, West and Elgin Baylor,
Mm.
I believe. I can't remember. Or it could have been Wade and Braun. I can't remember. It was another great Hall of Fame duo who also did the same. So it might have been Malone. No, not Malone Stockton. But either way, they did something impressive in this playoff run, and the Pacers did not give a fuck about that. They beat their ass. And I think that was one of the best adjustments in that game six was okay. So Brunson knows how to get Neesmith into foul trouble. Guess what? I got Nemhard. Here you go. All I was like, I got a wild card. Here you go. You wanted this, so here you go. I'm gonna make your life harder. Nemhard, and he was definitely the game changer in that game. Aside from that, Halliburton, he's gonna have some games where he's not gonna be the offensive guy, but man, he could get that team going, dog. Like some teams are looking at him because he's probably the closest thing to a true point guard in the NBA that we don't see as often no more.
You got that right.
And that I think some teams could really need somebody like him. Like I've been saying this about the Celtics, like I would love to see that they would invest in a true point guard and allow Tatum and Brown to like get their shots or find a way to pick on other teams and not always be the point forward. Because for one, Jalen Brown's not a good ball handler, and then two,
That's
Jason
putting it
Tatum,
lightly.
right? And Jason Tatum be having some weak ankle, well, not weak ankles, weak wrists. So we don't need them guys to be ball handling all the time. It'd be nice to get somebody who's willing to, be unselfish and just be a facilitator. You know what I'm saying? And shoot them threes when it's there.
Yep. You know what? And I bet you the Warriors, if they can redo that 2020 draft, they wish they can do that and take him at number 2 instead of James Wiseman. I know they could. I
Yeah,
know they wish they had him.
or Lamelo,
Yeah. I'd
because
rather have
Lamelo.
him
I
though
mean,
because he's more healthy.
you're right.
He'll make more money for you and everything. He's more of a bigger box office.
Yeah.
But Tyrese, I feel like he plays winning basketball and he
hmm
is way more consistent.
Maybe for him too, he has a chip on his shoulder because he did get traded midway into his first rookie contract. So it's like if I was him, I would probably take it very personal. Anyways, like, hey, these guys gave up on me, and they thought they won the trade too by getting Sabonis. But little did they know he went to consecutive Eastern Conference Finals, and Sabonis has been in a playing team the last two times. However you want to look at it, Sacramento. Good luck with that. But nonetheless, we have the finals. We're not going to get too deep into that, but we'll just get into our predictions and who we got for MVP for the finals. It's the Pacers, Thunder. Starts on Thursday. We're recording on a Tuesday evening, so whatever happens in the next 48 hours, we can't take it back. But we got the Pacers and Thunder, and who you got winning the series and why, and who's your MVP?
Yeah, man. I see a lot of people talking about this series and saying how this is going to be a good series. It's going to be a really fun series, competitive series. I'm like, it's going to be good stylistically, ethically, competitive wise. I just don't see that happening. I see the Thunder electing to win the championship on their home floor. Therefore, it won't be a sweep, but a gentleman sweep. I have the Thunder winning in 4, and then SGA for Finals MVP. And if SGA does win the Finals MVP, I believe he joins only Michael Jordan and Shaq as the only players to win the scoring title, League MVP, and Finals MVP in the same year. So a lot of history can
Really?
be made for him. Yeah, I have the Thunder in 5. I just don't see a world where this could be a competitive series at all, regardless of how good they've been. Reese hasn't seen the ball press that's going to be waiting for him with Dort, Caruso, and Case and Wallace. They swept them in the season series. Chet didn't even play in any of the games. G averaged like 38, as opposed to Halliburton averaged like 8. They made life difficult for him in the season, and I think that's going to be true again in the finals. So yeah, Thunder in 5.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, as far as my prediction goes, it's not gonna be in between four, and it's not gonna be no, how can I say this? It's either 4 or 7, no in between. If it goes 7, it's because the Pacers have the basketball gods will continue to bless them with these late game heroics. Because keep in mind, they found a way to come from. They beat the Bucks in the buzzer, I believe, too. Uh, I think so. Yeah, they did because that was when Dame was all up in Halliburton's face, like because he did the Dame time shit again. That's one game that turned the series around on its own. They found a way to beat the Cavs game 1 somehow. I don't know how the hell that happened. And then they found a way to beat the Cavs again in a home game. I forgot, like at the end. And then they stole 2 games in New York to begin it. So if they go 7, it's because they're stealing games. You know what I'm saying? They found a way to steal a game. But in my truest of hearts, I really believe this is a fucking sweep. I don't care. Like, I'll put money on both scenarios, but I could see it going 4, ending in 4, and then they just, spoil the Indiana Pacers fans' opportunity of enjoying a win. Because I don't like based on what I'm seeing, they couldn't really guard Cat. Cat was his own enemy. He was in foul trouble. He was throwing up bullshit sometimes. He couldn't hit the 3 ball, and obviously he's not the best defender in the world. They absolutely could not stop Brunson. He averaged 30 plus, and we're talking about he's like at least 6 inches shorter than SGA, and he is not the MVP of the NBA. And then obviously not, and SGA is absolutely a better defender than him. Who's gonna stop Chet? Who's gonna stop SGA? None of them. Like they might pressure him better, SGA, but then somebody else is gonna get going. The Knicks didn't have a Jalen Williams.
Mm.
You could say OG, but OG is inconsistent offensively. Like when he gets hot, but then he settles out and he's not the same. He gives you great effort on defense, but he wasn't the same. He didn't live up to his contract. We can say that now. He didn't live up to it this postseason. No, he didn't. Harvenstein is a game changer too, because they didn't have an answer for Harvenstein last year when he was with the Knicks. That little teardrop is gonna kill him. Because in the paint, they're trash. That's the one thing about the Pacers. They're not gonna really do much there. And then we're talking about the rest of those guys. Those guys, man, you give those high confident fucking bench players an opportunity, especially when they're at home. Like the Pacers, if they want a chance to make it go past 4, they have to steal a game in Oklahoma City. If not, it's a wrap, baby. Like I ain't trying to hit none of that shit. Like it's a wrap. Like they better hope that Neesmith goes straight Reggie Miller again. Game 1. Bro, he dropped 17 in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That ain't reality, bro. Siakam's gonna drop 40 on any given night? I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Really? When he got like 3 other dudes trapping him at the top. Yeah, I don't know, man. I, I watch what the Knicks could have done better, and the reason why it led to that them losing. And I was like, you know what? If you plug in these Thunder players and those for those guys, it's a different. The series is over. The series would have been over in 5. Indiana would have been packing it up. But yeah, man, give me OKC in 4. At best, it goes 7 because the Pacers found a way to pray to the devil and some shit and got through. Oh, and then MVP, yeah, SJ. I ain't gonna question none of that. I ain't gonna see. We're not gonna see no another Jalen